Hi, I'm Hanmak and I'll be your host on the Total Woman podcast. This podcast takes you on a journey through present-day womanhood, expectations, standards, and molds using Africa as a case study and comparing it to God's original blueprint of womanhood. Welcome to the Total Woman podcast. The Total Woman podcast addresses every woman, introduces the woman to the man, a fresh perspective, a fresh outlook on womanhood, devoid of gender advocacy. It's good to have you back and thank you for listening. We'll be diving into our talk for today, which is a continuation from where we stopped last, talking about the girl child and the childhood, the upbringing of the girl child. Today we'll be considering the age brackets 9 to 14 and we want to take up the development that takes root from that age bracket. So talking about things like growth in the girl child, we have the child experiencing things like the growth of hair on their armpits and pubic hair. And how do we go about that? How do we tackle that? It's peculiar to the girl child, which means that the girl starts experiencing hair on her armpit, and then now there's a stench, usually what she doesn't experience before. That's a different dimension to the stench that it produces. And strange things happening in strange places. Pubic hair, experiencing hair on pubic area. And so there's a shock that comes with it, the disturbance, because to some start at 8, some we experience them at the age of 9, some at the later part 14. Hair is not something that anybody has a prejudice over, but it so happens that whatever age that you experience that, it's how then do we tackle it? Automatically, the boy on the other side, not so much, because the boy child is not necessarily experiencing it at the same rate, because theirs comes a little bit slower. But then a girl at the age of 9, whose best friend is the boy John, girl Grace at the age of 9, best friend boy at the age of same 9, who is a late bloomer, who this girl cannot necessarily relate to because she's feeling that, and cannot talk about it because it's cannot talk about it with a boy because it automatically starts differentiating her with the boy. So it's like there's a barrier now. There's something she can't talk about because she would feel very awkward, and even if she does, he has nothing to say to her. Naturally, she would want to refer back to her mother. And then we have the African culture that is not very open to discussing such kind of things. So we have girls going on about the fact that she's experiencing pubic hair and she doesn't know what to tell, how to come across. Maybe she has done something wrong. Just maybe there's something she's doing wrong. Just maybe she's been cursed. Just maybe. And then she's trying to talk about it to her mom, and the mom is saying, be very careful. You are becoming a woman now. That is womanhood. So make sure you cover your legs. And in between that, she's experiencing something is making me feel different. I feel awkward. How many times do we actually get to talk about that with the girl and say, you see, hair is normal. Psychologically, attend to the psychological needs of the girl at that stage. What is going on in her hair? What does she think in her head? What does she think this hair is all about? And helping her to see that it's a normal part of growing. It's a normal part of becoming an adult, that's what makes you an adult. You're growing. That's all. It should not just be attached with womanhood too early at that stage. So it's like the mother not knowing how to handle it because it's an uncomfortable conversation talking about a child's pubic hair and not being able to attend to it properly. So now we have a girl who automatically feels rejected by her mother, a feeling of there's some things that I can talk about with my mom. There's some things that I cannot talk about. Introducing the barrier. And the right person who should have helped the girl, it's her mom. But the mom is not available because of cultural barriers. We don't want to talk about this. How can we be talking about it? A girl's bum bum. It's very disturbing. So the mom is actually uncomfortable. And then guess what? She transfers that same discomfort to the child. So the girl finds a difficulty in expressing herself about hair. Why can I talk about the hair on my head? and it's natural. Why should I have a problem with also discussing the hair? The problem I'm having with pubic hair. So we have automatically, you're not even teaching the child the proper hygiene of managing that stage of her life with hair, pubic hair, and then the hair in the armpits. So we have people growing up to not just knowing how to manage themselves. So we have people suffering from body odor that could have been completely managed just because the mother was having a problem with communicating. And guess what? If we go back and trace it, this person's mother had a problem with that communication, transferred it to this mother. The mother had a complaint, transferred to that daughter, who in turn became a mother, and is one generation after the other of not being able to speak about these things openly and correcting the perspective. So automatically we have a very distorted perspective about natural things, basic natural things, care that should be given to the girl child. So you find the girl going to talk about it with her friend, who also learned it from the street. So we get crude methods. Some children are sensitive. I, for one, discovered I was very sensitive. I was sensitive to the hair, so I can't even cut it anyhow. I had to go through a journey of looking for compatible things of how to take care of myself. The hair in the armpit, if I use a normal shaving stick, I have a problem with. But you see, it's a journey that should be explored together with your mother. It should be a place of bonding, actually. It's like, you should be excited that your daughter is growing and coming into womanhood. So it should be a platform that you should be able to bond with your daughter. But the shame culture, the African shame culture, that does not allow these conversations. So I think with the Total Woman, we are trying to explore these conversations, bring them from under the table to the table, and looking for a better perspective to actually introduce this kind of conversations into the public, and maybe, just maybe, will help somebody out there, help a mother who is struggling to have this conversation with her daughter, help a daughter who is not knowing how to communicate it with her mother, and above all, bring a bond between the mother and daughter, a better bond between mother and daughter, and also help the men to be able to communicate those things properly, and to also realize that some of these girls that you have a problem sitting around them because they are experiencing body odor, it's not really because they wanted to. Sometimes it's just lack of education, proper education and proper grooming that is bringing that. So maybe, just maybe, the girl who has been ostracized based on body odor that can actually be solved, not necessarily the one that is a sickness, but the one that can be solved by just basic hygiene, is hearing this and is realizing there's a better approach to this, and if I could do this, just maybe it will just be solved. As a person, I think if we have these conversations with our daughters, it brings a dimension of friendship and it brings you closer, and then you become the go-to person of your daughter experiencing hair for the first time. Then imagine all her firsts. She gets to run to you with everything that happens first. First time she met this, her best friend. First time she met this boyfriend. First time she met this, every first. And your preview to this first, wouldn't that be an amazing relationship? Wouldn't that be beautiful to explore life with your daughter? To go through life with your daughter, and also rekindling a friendship that goes a long way. Even when she has left, you're not placing a demand on your daughter. Come back home. You people are not coming home. You people are not doing. They were excited to leave. They cannot be coming. Come back home. Imagine you exploring those first, and it's already realizing that now you have a friend in life, and she gets to come back to, as she experiences every first in marriage, every first new friends as a couple, every first in marriage, they experience together, and then they bring you also included in the child's life. Just that mother hen that saying, you cannot do this, you should not do this, you are becoming a woman, you are doing this, you are doing this. The typical stereotype of African motherhood is broken. And then you get to meet your daughter afresh. Mother meets girl. Mother meets daughter. As I think about it, I'm just imagining how it would be beautiful. I don't have a daughter, but it would be beautiful to have that kind of relationship. I have boys. I look forward to having a daughter, even though I don't really want to have a child again. But we'll see about that. I think that's something I will be willing to explore if I had a daughter. We'll be taking a short break right now. we'll be coming back later and we'll be talking more about these issues. Have you ever wondered what it really means to be a woman? Are you interested in gaining a fresh perspective and a deeper understanding of womanhood? Look no further than the Total Woman podcast. Join us as we explore the complexities, the beauty of being a woman, while also introducing the male perspective to our experiences. No gender advocacy, just a balanced approach that acknowledges and celebrates the unique differences between men and women. We will delve into the why behind our thoughts, emotions, experiences, while striving for a better understanding and relationship between genders. My personal experiences as an African woman will add a unique flavor to our discussions, bringing new insights to the table while leaving you enlightened and empowered. Join us as we introduce the world to the woman. Tune in to the Total Woman podcast today. Welcome back. And we'd like to talk about a different thing again this time around, and it's development of breast in the girl child, or mammary glands, as my friend will say it. So we have different development stages for different girls. Some come fast, some come slow, some are late bloomers. But for some people, it comes at a later note. But you see, we have girls. I saw a girl not too long ago who was already fully developed, full-chested, if there's a word like that, at the age of 9, and you're wondering what happened here. I think I started developing at somewhat at the age of 12. That's me. Well, but others start early and then some start late. Some people get to wear their first bra at the age of 17. But then that's not to say anything. But you see, I think the first development of breast comes with pain for the child. There's this acute pain you feel on your chest and your nipples are really on fire. Some people, it can actually pass without them realizing anything. It's like they slept and just woke up and like, wow, I have breast. But then for some people, and I will speak with my own experience, was more of pain on the nipple, and then you're wondering what is wrong. What did you hit yourself? And you find yourself actually going to opening the breast and ask your male friends, what is this? This is coming. Something is coming out here. What is this? Do you have this thing in your chest? Is it paining you? See, and you're calling them to come and touch it to see whether there's this lump that you start feeling, and it's hard and it's painful. And then it's like, what is this? And it's beginning to introduce to the girl that this Peter doesn't have this. Come on. He doesn't have this. What John also doesn't have this. What's so different about me? She should be able to run and go to her mom and say, Mommy, I see something here. I'm very uncomfortable with this. And the problem is that it's not the child. The child always comes to the mother. The problem is the response of the African woman that is always perplexing. It's like, yes, that is how people eyes breast. Yes, that is what you're going to give your children. So this is how you're going to feed your children. If it doesn't grow, how will you feed your children? See these children. Hi, children of nowadays. See, they're having breast. Oh, we did not have breast in our time till I was 14. And then you have people going dramatic to tell us it was at the time I got married at 19. Then I developed it when I was pregnant. Everybody with his different perspective of the development of breast in the child. But then the question is that really the right strategy or an approach to have how the development of breast should be dealt with the young girl in this day and age where everything is obtainable? We now have children going around iPads. We now have children being able to Google a lot of stuff, and then you're still approaching it from what was passed to you from your mothers in the 70s, mothers in the 80s, mothers in the 90s. What was obtainable is not what is obtainable now. And then you have, instead of having a good conversation, you're only teaching how to cover it. Make sure you cover your breast. Now that you're having breast, cover yourself. If you're teaching the child to cover himself or herself, it should be a general rule. Cover you. It's not just the breast. Yes, it's sensitive. As you're becoming a woman, there's sensitive areas to you. It will naturally grow bigger. It's paining you. Oh, sorry, my darling. It hurts, right? I'm so sorry. There are different places. So sorry. But it's part of becoming a woman. Welcome to womanhood. Can't womanhood be something that you can actually enjoy, explore together, and actually celebrate? I'm from the company of people who believe that womanhood should be celebrated. So I'm celebrating the fact that I'm having breasts. There's something I have different from what Namba has. There's something I have different from what Oyale has. And that's okay. I have something, it's more of discovering of purpose, that I get to be a mother someday. And that's exciting. It's something I should look forward to. Not one more thing that I should do differently because I'm a different gender and the expectations. We just load the expectations on the child. At age 9, what business do I have to think about how I'm supposed to nurse a child? And then suddenly, gradually, if anybody, now that you are growing, if anybody touch your breast, you come and tell me. She didn't need that. I should be protective of myself generally. You should have started teaching the girl to learn to manage herself better, to learn to protect herself better. Everyone should protect himself now. I understand that it's more acute when it comes to the girl child, but then everybody generally, on a general note, should protect himself or he herself. So why not bring that on a holistic point of view? Not just particular to the fact that boy will touch your breast, boy will try to corner you to do. Do you understand? So the girl doesn't just run away from men simply because every time she sees a boy, he wants to touch her breast. You traumatize the child with too much information. Information can actually be sieved. There's one that is appropriate for the 9-year-old child. There's the information that is appropriate for the 14-year-old girl. There's information that is appropriate for the... You understand? Maybe a different approach to all these kind of things would make a difference. So I'm carrying the weight of hair. I'm just realizing the shock of the fact that I have hair in my armpit, and then I'm having pubic hair. I'm still managing that, and then now I have breasts. So my friends, all I've been told is, now that I'm having hair, I should be covering my leg better. So I should learn to sit well before nobody should see the hair in my pubic area. So it's like the natural instinct of a child at that age is to explore. I want to give him, I'm meeting Nanji today and I'm saying, wow, I have hair. And it's okay. It's age appropriate. But how many things do we actually consider? How many times do we really actually consider age appropriate information with our children? What is age appropriate to tell a girl child from ages 9 to 14? How do we handle what is age appropriate to talk about when it comes to hair development, armpit and the pubic hair? What is age appropriate when you talk about the development of breasts in a girl child? 9 to 14 years within that age bracket. What is age appropriate? Wouldn't it be beautiful if our mothers be more intentional about motherhood and not traumatize their children because they were traumatized, but be more intentional by reading? There are plenty of materials that you can find online, plenty of books about parenting that we never really get to read. And some parents actually make the effort to buy it, just never read it. So it's on their shelves. And when you talk about it, they'll tell you, yeah, I bought a book about it. I remember a book that changed my life when I became a mother. Parenting with Love and Logic. And I think it actually changed my perspective about a lot of things that gave me insight. And I realized, wow, things can actually be done differently and you achieve the same result. Do I need to always shout? I don't have to always shout. You could actually reason with the child and get the appropriate. And when you talk about reasoning, now nobody wants to hear it because it's like, hey, that's not a Nigerian approach to things. So that's not how we do it here. That's why the Bible says spare the rod and spoil a child. So we don't want to spare the rod. So there's a lot of rod going on. So big deal. When I say this, my mom is just going to spank me. So what? How about reasoning a child out of that perspective? How about properly teaching the child on care, on hygiene, on development stages, that the child is now looking forward to the next stage? And with that, I'd like to round up with the next stage after that, in between that age bracket, is the period. The girl gets to experience her period. I met a friend of mine who actually started her period at the age of 7, and she told me that her mom wept. She wept because she was like, how can the burden of period, this girl is going to go through this all her life. How can she start it at God? Why? Where are you? Do you understand? So you have a child who is like, what's happening here? She didn't create herself. She just found it. And then the mother is so hysterical about it, which automatically can easily traumatize the girl into believing that it's a burden. But well, as a woman, I've been a woman all my life, so I can say it with authority. That is actually a burden. But guess what? Big deal. It's still one of those things, one of those challenges you go through in life. So the first time can you relate to? Can you remember? As women, let's try to remember the first time you got your period. What was your reaction? I was so ashamed. I couldn't bring myself to say that I had started my period. So I'd rather just use panties upon panties, layers of panties. And then I found myself not going far, because as you're stepping far, you're already drenched. So you have to come and go and change. And so I was mostly in the bathroom washing and all of that. And it was, how do I go and tell my mom I need pad? I've started my period and all that. And then I was wondering, so my aunt was in the house and she had pad. So what we were simply doing, since my sister in the house then had not started her period, so she will sneak it for me to the pad, go and pick the pad. I don't even know why we felt the need to sneak the pad, hide it in cloth to bring it to the bathroom, and she brought it to the bathroom, and I'll wear it. And then when I wear it, your conscience walking, so you're walking and I'm telling her to check, am I looking awkward, how am I walking and all that. She was doing all that for me, and we're checking. So at the 3rd month, when there was no pad in the house to seal, and my aunt was just wondering, where is her pad going? Has she used it all? She didn't know she was sharing with me. And at some point, I went and met my mom, and I told her, so I have this to tell you. I've actually started my period. She was like, wow, when? I said, that was like 3 months ago. She said, why did I say so? What have I been doing? I said, I've been using pad. She said, where am I getting the pad from? And I told her this. She said, so what do I need to know? I said, don't worry, I'm good. I was too ashamed to even sit and hear her. But then when I was finishing primary school, there was a book my dad bought, and it was like, it's your body and all it entails, I think. He bought a book for me that I just went back. I remember seeing something about the period there. So my shame would not allow me to discuss it because I was feeling very embarrassed. So I just went and got the book, and I read the book about it. So it gave me comfort when I had knowledge about it. And that's just Handmark's experience. Everybody has this. So I realized that somebody else was running on the road to say that she was a witch, because witchcraft takes place in the night. Our African mentality is that only time you can be fully activated in witchcraft is in the night from 12. That's when people start flying. So any transaction that takes place from 12 o'clock in the night is a transaction of witchcraft. So the period came in the night. So when she woke up, she assumed she had been initiated, and told her mom about it and said she was a witch, which was a terrible approach to something that had happened. So the mom panicked. I'm actually glad that the mom didn't take her for deliverance, which would have been obtainable in this time and age in Africa. But she said, why do you think you're a witch? And she said, because she had saw blood. So you see, it took a very intelligent mother. Where did you see the blood? And she said, oh yeah, I saw the blood on my bed. So the mom started picking, said, can we go? If I go to your room now, would I see the blood, or is only you that can't see the blood? She said, yeah, you would see it. It's actually on my bed. So the mom understood that it was her period, and they went and she told her, so what have you done? She said, nothing. She just came straight to her. So, okay, so we need to warm water for you and bath. Do you feel any pain? Sometimes it comes with pain. Are you in pain? Saying, yeah, her back has been paining her, but she thought she hit her back. And said, no, it comes with the territory. So if it gets unbearable, let me know and I'll get you pain reliever. But if it's manageable, you have to manage that. Sometimes it goes on for 3 days. For some people, it's 4 days, others 5 days. But whichever way, we will monitor it together and we'll see it. It will come back again next month. So you're welcome to this dimension of womanhood that will come every time. This is something that happens to you every month. And the daughter was like, wow. So you see, where a lot of things in our environment informs our decision. So the girl did not necessarily hear about the witchcraft from her mother, but then because she came to her mother first, and the mother was properly equipped to be able to manage that kind of information and did not attack her. Hey, where did you collect food to eat? Imagine a different approach. Where did you get food to eat? I have been saying it. Who gave you sweets? Which auntie gave you biscuits? Do you understand? A different approach would have produced a different thing up together. So that would have traumatized that child all through. But the mother was able to absorb the shock of witchcraft and approach it differently. And if you look at it critically, she then used the opportunity to teach her hygiene, which most women are not. So most women are not even very aware of the fact that you need to clean extra. that usually on your period, there's a tendency that there's an offensive smell, that if you stay too long with a pad, there's an offensive smell that is emitted, that the other person beside you can actually even sense the fact that there's bad blood and it's becoming stale. And then most women are unaware. So you go on with a pad, one pad from morning till night, because you're trying to be frugal with your resources on the fact that there's no pad, there's no money, there's everything. And then guess what? There are people that react. I discovered that I react a lot to staying with any blood on my body. I react. And then people react differently. It's not every pad that everybody can use. And it's not wanting the soft life. It's actually saying that it is actually an allergy. And I do react to that. So I get to change like 3 to 4 times every day. And I make sure that under no circumstance, I bath at least twice. How many mothers actually sit and educate their daughters about this rather than shouting and saying, now anything you do, you'll be pregnant. If a man should touch you, what touch are we talking about? So if anybody should rub your shoulder, you are pregnant simply because you started experiencing your period. Different approach. So you see how our culture has interfered so much in the upbringing of the girl child, and the basic information and proper information has been lost. So the woman who is looking at herself from this day and age, and we're happy that we're a Renaissance generation, we're all that, and yet we pass on this from generation to generation. We pass on a load of crap. So the truth of the situation is lost. So the girl doesn't know how to manage her hygiene when she's developing hair. You're supposed to cut the hair. You're supposed to leave it to keep growing. Is it supposed to be developing molds? Is it okay for it to be developing molds in her armpit? Is the hair supposed to be maintained as black? Or is it okay when it's brown, it's still okay? What do I do when I'm developing breasts? It's hurting me. What do I do? How then? I'm more conscious and having an inner wear now. Instead of introducing inner wears to the girl so her t-shirt doesn't begin to sag and it's open to the public, I get to buy her more inner wears. I get to teach her that now you're more conscious because womanhood is different from manhood. You're becoming a woman, and it's something to be celebrated, not a group of rules of do's and don'ts that should be drummed down the girl's ear, and that the information is too much for a child at the between the age bracket of 9 to 14. It's too much information, too soon, too early. And God forbid that the difference she gets to learn about managing her period from somebody else outside, and then she doesn't understand that it's puberty and it means that you're active and that the sexuality is becoming more alive, that she feels emotions that she does. The hormonal part of period, that you get cranky, you get easily stimulated, you get a lot of things that go on the woman's hormone in that season of her life. Imagine her getting that information from outside. I remember a girl at the school, she was 12. I think she was pregnant before they realized she had come into puberty. And at the age of 12, she had her first child at the age of 12 because she never even experienced period and she was not even taught about. So the only time they were hoping that they'll have the conversation at her first period to tell her she was coming to human being. And guess what? Just when she was about to have her period, she had sex and then she took in. So never really had her period. So when the stomach was growing, they assumed it had to be koshoko. What do you call that in medicine? I don't know. But we know it now. We're Nigerians now. We're Africans. We know koshoko, where your stomach protrudes because of a malnourishment. Yes, it's malnutrition, actually. So all of that put together. And she had to learn it the hard way. So she became a mother at the age of 12 because of misinformation. How about just do a proper sex education? Arm them with the necessary information without the cultural bias, the religious bias, and let these conversations come up the table, be discussed. Let it be on the table. Everything is open for discussion properly. Then you can manage it appropriately. And guess what? We would have children experiencing better childhood, better approaches to this. So, I think that's what I have to say for today. Thank you for listening. And above all, thank you because you will share. And you can follow us on our social media handles at the Total Woman Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to share. Tell a friend. We are in a situation where we got to just share, like, and all that. Tell a friend and just keep listening. We'll have more conversations. And this conversation can also go on online. So have a lovely day. Bye.